Special thanks to Nicalis, I don't know. But thank you for sending me a review copy. I appreciate it. Cave Story is a game that I've been meaning to play for the longest. It's been over a decade and it's always been in my backlog. Not my physical or my digital backlog because I never owned the game, but it was in my mental backlog. A game that I've been meaning to get, but I just never did. I always heard praises of this game when I was a kid, and I still do even to this day. Whenever my friends would talk about PC games, the same 4 games I always heard mentioned was MapleStory, RuneScape, World of Warcraft, and Cave Story. Must have been quite the game since everybody kept talking about it and constantly playing it on the school computers, but I never really had the time for Cave Story. I was busy playing games like Katamari Damacy, Beautiful Joe, Sonic Heroes, Crash Twinsanity, and other classic titles from my childhood. That, and the fact that even if I wanted to play this game, my computer at home was extremely slow. It would take like 20 minutes just to boot up the internet, and I was banned from even using the computers at school. Not gonna go into that, we'll just pass that by. It eventually made its way over to the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console and the 3DS, so it was much more viable for me to actually try out the game. But even at this point in my life, I never really had the chance to play it because I was playing games like Katamari Damacy, Beautiful Joe, Sonic Heroes, Crash Twinsanity, and other classic titles, so it just kind of passed me by. But I'm finally done with those games, so I can finally devote my time and attention to playing through Cave Story Plus. Cave Story starts out with a pale robot in a cave with nothing in his arsenal, and he suffers from amnesia. Much like games that it takes inspiration from, there's no real introduction on how to play the game, you just sort of figure things out as you play. The only thing you can do is run and jump and try to find your way out of the cave. And would you believe me if I told you I died 3 times in a matter of 15 seconds? Because I did. 3 times. In 15 seconds. You find a gun called the Polestar, leave the cave, and the story begins. You crash land and see the main species of the game, the Mimigas. They're basically little bunny rabbits that can run around and talk and fight. Then there's the Doctor, the main villain behind the game, with his 2 minions, Misery, who's a witch, as well as Balrog, a toaster that always busts out of nowhere, always trying to fight the player. Their goal is to feed the red flowers to the Mimigas because red flowers make them go crazy, then build up an army of rabid Mimigas to attack the surface. Oh yeah, Cave Story takes place on a floating island. Probably should have mentioned that. Now that's as far as I'll go with the story. I could go further, but that would spoil it for you guys, and I'm not that much of a dirtbag. A dirtbag, yes, we know this, but not that much of a dirtbag. I will say that for a game about some talking bunnies, a toaster with a face, a witch, some flowers, cutesy robots, and a doctor that, floats menacingly. The story can get pretty dark. Wasn't expecting that in a game like this, but yeah, you kind of feel for the Mimigas in their plight, especially when they're one of the enemy types in the game, when they just want to be bunnies that live in peace, but they've been enraged by the flowers, so you gotta kill them. It's pretty sad. Cave Story is a game that takes inspiration from games like Metroid and Castlevania. I mean, just listen to that jingle. It's Metroid. But like I was saying, it takes inspiration from games like Metroid and Castlevania. You'll find new weapons along your way, talk to people to figure out where to go next, get new items to help traverse through the areas, backtrack, and so on. And while the game does have some backtracking, it's pretty straightforward. It's not something that you're really going to be getting lost with. Annoying at times, definitely, but lost, nah. Not really. With each weapon, you have 3 different levels that you can level up to. When you kill enemies, they'll either drop down a heart, missiles, or triangle pieces. Collecting the triangles will allow your weapons to level up. The more you level up, the stronger they get, and the farther they can shoot, depending on the weapon. But if you get hit, you lose some of your gauge and eventually level down, depending on how often you get hit. Which I kinda like. You can't just go in there gun blazing, killing everybody as soon as you reach level 3. Going back to level 1 feels terrible on all weapons, so I think making sure that you try to not get hit to make sure that you keep your level 3 weapons adds an extra layer of depth to the gameplay. Once you do a certain task in this game, you get to play as Curly Brace. It's still more or less the same game. It's really just a skin swap. The only main difference here is that she actually responds to some of the characters, whereas Quote, that's the main character's name by the way, sorry, is mute the entire time. Now, you know we always gotta do this when we talk about reviews, people. We gotta talk about this soundtrack. Do you always have to talk about? Yes, I have to talk about the soundtrack because the soundtrack for Cave Story is incredible. This was another aspect of the game that I always heard praises of, and I can see why. Even after turning off the game, the music was stuck in my head because it was so catchy and amazing. Cave Story Plus gives you 4 different music options to listen to. You've got Cave Story Plus, Remastered, Organia, and Fama tracks. There's a jukebox in the main menu where you can listen to each song in the game in whatever style that you want, provided that you already unlocked that song. The visuals for Cave Story Plus are pretty good, even if it does look like a PC Engine game. Each of the levels are really well designed, and a lot of the bigger enemies look really good. Even the weapon effects and destruction really help bring this game together and make it look really nice. It's not anything mind-blowing, and it's not gonna win any awards. Maybe it did. Maybe I'm lying to you guys. It probably already did back in the day. If it did, I apologize. But I do like how this game looks a lot. I even like how the characters look when they talk. It's just good. Now, Cave Story Plus does have its annoyances, especially if you want to play this game in a certain way. On your first playthrough, there's really no problem since you're new to the game and you're just trying to reach the end. But Cave Story has multiple endings, and to get those endings, specifically the best ending, you have to do a lot of very specific tasks. For example, there's a section in the game when Professor Booster falls down in the labyrinth. Any normal person would go to check on him to see if he's okay and see if he has anything worthwhile to say. But if you do that, you take his jetpack and it becomes part of your move list. Then he explodes for some reason, and doing so prevents you from getting the best ending. Because shortly after, there's a moment where you have to save Curly, but the tow rope doesn't show up in the game because you saved the professor. Another time in the game is when I replayed it on my 4th playthrough, saved Curly, put her on the bed, but because I didn't read the computer first, and then check the bookcase, and then read the computer again, I wasn't able to access the best ending. Or how when I was playing on my 3rd playthrough and I talked to one of the NPCs in the labyrinth, he automatically gave me a new weapon without me even wanting the upgrade, so now I couldn't get the upgraded pole star called the Spur, all because I talked to a character, so I had to replay the game again and had to make a mental note not to talk to this person so that I can get the Spur. All this because he didn't give me a yes or no option if I wanted to upgrade. There's a lot of things like that in this game. I've played through this game a total of 10 times because I just kept messing things up. Now don't get it twisted. It was fun each time, but it was also frustrating at the same time as well. Which is why I don't see a lot of people getting the best ending on their first couple tries, unless of course they use a guide and make sure they don't miss a single step. And don't even get me started on the best ending boss. I have never seen a difficulty spike this high in a game before. Do not be surprised if you come to this point in the game and you just don't beat it. Your skills are really put to the test here, as well as your patience and endurance. Everything is coming after you at this part of the game. The stage is falling apart on you and takes out a lot of your health. There's hazards all over the place. There's one-hit kills all over the place. And not only that, but once you actually reach the boss, good luck, because you have to fight 5 different bosses, each annoying and hard in their own terrible way. And guess what happens if you die even once? You're going to have to restart from the beginning of the zone because there's no save points. So have fun with that. But outside of my problems with trying to get the best ending, I really enjoyed my time with Cave Story Plus. It's a game I could easily recommend. Cave Story Plus even has challenges to do outside of the main game. And yes, they're challenging. Later in the year, Cave Story will also be introducing co-op mode at no extra cost. So maybe I'll talk about this game again when that comes out. I probably won't. You know, I really gotta stop making comments like that. All it ever accomplishes is people asking me where's insert video, you know? I still got people asking me where's my top 10 Square Enix RPGs. But thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Have a good one.